Welcome to Geraldine's Bible and Song Sharing. I am singer and songwriter Geraldine Png. This program is to share or guide the lost in having a better understanding and personal relationship with our Lord God, Creator and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now, let's join me in today's Bible messages. This is a part 2 continuation of Hebrews chapter 11, verses 8 to 19, as we had covered the numerous different regions and locations Abraham had traveled as instructed by God, Jesus Christ. We shall continue by knowing more about Abram and Sarai and why their names were changed by God, Jesus Christ, to Abraham and Sarah, starting with Genesis chapter 12. Genesis chapter 12. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will shew thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh. And the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram, and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Hai on the east, and there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. The princes also of Pharaoh saw her, and commended her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he asses, and menservants, and maidservants, and she asses and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abraham's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, She is my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her, and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had. Genesis chapter 13. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt there in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdsmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. And now we go on to the summary of Genesis chapter 14. Abram having traveled to the north to rescue Lot. Genesis 14, verses 1 to 4. In 1833 BC, 5 local kings in the valley of Siddim, the Jordan Valley near the Dead Sea, Bera of Sodom, Bersha of Gomorrah, Shinab of Admah, Shemeber of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, Zoar, rebel against their 4 distant overlords: Amraphel of Shinar, Babylonia, Arioch of Elazar, Kedolamer of Elam, southeast Mesopotamia, and Tidal of Goim. Genesis 14, verses 5 to 7. The 4 overlords marched south, defeating the Rephaites of Ashtaroth, Kanaim, the Zuzites of Ham, and the Emites of Shaveh, Kiriathaim. They then carried out raids in the hill country of Seir and Edom. Genesis 14, verses 8 to 12. They defeat the 5 rebel kings in the valley of Siddim and carry off goods and prisoners from Sodom, including Lot, Abram's nephew. Sodom and Gomorrah. Around 1800 BC, Sodom was a thriving commercial city in the Vale of Siddim, the area of the Jordan Valley stretching south from the Dead Sea. The exact site of Sodom is uncertain, though some believe that early Bronze Age remains of the city can be seen at Ber Bidra at the southeast corner of the Dead Sea. The neighboring city of Gomorrah was also situated at the southeast corner of the Dead Sea. Early Bronze Age remains visible today at Numera, may well occupy the site of ancient Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah were important trading centers on the north-south route along the Jordan Valley, linking Edom and Arabia in the south to Damascus and Mesopotamia in the north. As it was situated on the floor of the Jordan Valley, it would have been an oasis in an otherwise dry land, probably fed by springs like those to the north at En Gedi, along the foot of the barren valley inside. Like many cities crowded with numerous foreign merchants and businessmen, it was a notorious place of loose morals and decadence. Genesis 14 verse 13. The news of Lot's capture is taken to Abram at Hebron. Genesis 14 verses 14 to 16. Abram with 318 men pursues the 4 kings along the king's highway north to Dan. Abram's men attack at night and pursue the 4 kings to Hobah, north of Damascus. Lot and his family and possessions are rescued. Genesis 14 verses 17 to 24. On the return journey south, Abram is met by the king of Sodom in the valley of Shaveh, or the King's Valley, the Kidron Valley to the east of Jerusalem. And Abram is blessed by Melchizedek, the priestly king of Salem, Jerusalem. Genesis chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elazar, Chedorlaomer or Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemeba, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, and the Zuzims in Ham, and the Amims in Shavah, Kiriathaim, and the Horites in the Mount Seir unto El-Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazon Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim. With Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elazar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and fell there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him, and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which had delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Anna, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. In relation to Genesis chapter 14, we go back to Genesis 6 as mentioned 2 series ago in references to the great flood during the time frame of Noah. The sons of God fallen watchers, taking women and having offspring called Nephilims. Hybrids, physically impure and unclean. But Noah was physically spotless and a man of faith, and God saved Noah while destroying the Nephilim. We have seen how these Nephilim were giants, like Nimrod after the flood. The text says the Nephilim were on the earth in the days before the flood and also afterward. We even see them afterward in Numbers 13, in a chapter where the spies of Israel were supposed to come back to Moses and give him the report so that they could enter into war and win the promised land. Instead, they learned that the sons of Anak was there. Who were they? They were descended from the Nephilim. Numbers 13, verse 33. This same chapter also gives a list of tribes who are said to be all of great height. Numbers 13, verse 32, such that the Israelites seem like grasshoppers in their sight. This list includes 6 clans, an omnibus number: Anakim, Jebusites, Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, and Amalekites. It isn't that every single person in all of these tribes were giants or Nephilim, but rather that these people were mixing with, making treaties with, or assimilating with Nephilim. These people scared the spies of Israel senseless, except for Joshua and Caleb. The kings of the west, reference to Genesis 14, come from the towns of Sodom and Gomorrah and the other cities that will be destroyed by the Lord because of the unspeakable moral perversion. Bera, king of Sodom, Bera means sons of evil. Bersha is king of Gomorrah. His name means son of wickedness. Shinab is king of the lesser-known town Admah. His name means hostile. Shemeber is king of Zeboim. His name seems to be related to heavenly beings, as it means something like winged, name of great celebrity, or soaring on high. Then there is the unnamed king of Bela. Bela means devouring or destruction. For the eastern kings, Genesis 14, you have Amraphel, king of Shinar. Shinar is another name for Babylon. The meaning of his name is not certain, though it can be one who speaks of dark things. We have seen how he was associated with Nimrod. Then there is Arioch, king of Elasar. Arioch means servant of the moon god. The Targum links it to a word meaning tall. Arioch, who was tall like the giants, a tall servant of the moon god. Perhaps he was the very progeny of Nana, a fallen watcher. Chedorlaomer, his name may refer to the Assyrian underworld god Lagama, so that his name means something like protector, no mercy. It is also probable that the ancient Arabian people knew of him. Calling his name can also mean tooth of the father, father's tooth. Giants sometimes had double rows of teeth. Title king of Goim. Goim is not actually a city, but the word means nations. He ruled the vast empire to the west in modern-day Turkey. His name can mean knowledge of elevation. Chedorlaomer returned, but a year or two later, they returned to fight 6 peoples: the Rephaim, the Zuzim, the Emim, the Horites, the Amalekites, and the Amorites. The Amalekites and Amorites are found in a list of 6 nations that were giant like the Nephilim. The Bible speaks of the great progenitor, forefather, ancestor, Amalek, as the first of the nations. Numbers 24 verse 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his later end shall be that he perish forever. The Amalekites attacked Moses in the wilderness, and from that moment on, God said he would utterly blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven. Exodus 17 verse 14. This war between Israel and Amalek goes into the days of Saul and a king named Agag, the Amalekite, even to the days of Esther and Haman, the Agagite. The Arabians speak of an ancient hero they call Imlak, which is their name for Amalek. Imlak means giant. The form of the word Imlak is clearly related to Amalek. Amalek can mean like tooth. In the Arab colloquial, Imlak means both Amalekite and giant, vexation. These same Arabs also tell of one of Imlak's famous sons, a behemoth, monstrous size, power, or appearance, named Ad, King Adam Ad. The other group is the Amorites. An Amorite is a talker or slayer. Amos says that the Amorites were tall like cedars, Amos 2 verse 9, sometimes even elongated skulls. Og the giant was an Amorite. We have also seen the Rephaim, for Goliath was descended from the Rephaim, as were the Anakim and the sons of Anak. The word is probably related to the Hebrew word meaning heel, Rapha. They are sometimes translated as the dead because they reside in the scariest parts of Sheol. The Canaanites at Ugarit also knew them, saying that they were the original inhabitants of the land of Bashan. Their word for them occurs in parallel with a word for divine ones. They are also called shadows. When you understand that ancient Jews and Christians said that when the Nephilim died, their spirits became the demons, the name shadow, shade, or divine ones, or the dead, or even healers, for who these Rephaims were. The book of Enoch chapter 15 verses 8 to 12. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the woman, because they have proceeded from them. The three remaining tribes are all Rephaim according to Deuteronomy 2. They were simply given different names by different people groups, and these Rephaim were also called Zamzummim, meaning buzzing ones or high standing. These are the same as the Zuzim here. Deuteronomy say they were a people as great, numerous, and tall as the Anakim. Deuteronomy 2:19 verse 21. The Emim were also regarded as Rephaim and as a people as great, numerous, and tall. They were killed by different descendants of Lot, called the Moabites. Emim means terrors or horrors or terrible giants. The last group are the Horites, Genesis 14 verse 6. These Rephaim formerly lived in the land that Esau would one day rule, the land of Seir, named after apparently a very hairy giant. Many strange creatures in both Jewish tradition and the Bible are said to have come out of Seir, including animal hybrids and lion-like men called Ariels, lion men of Moab, in 2 Samuel 23 verse 20. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. 1 Chronicles 12 verse 8. From the Gadites there went over to David at a stronghold in the wilderness mighty and experienced warriors, expert with shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and who were swift as gazelles upon the mountains. Horites mean troglodytes or cave dwellers, which is where many giants throughout the world were said to dwell. Book of Jasher, chapter 4, verses 18 to 21. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon earth, all men and all animals. Book of Jasher 36 verse 32. And those animals from their middle downward were in the shape of the children of men, and from their middle upward some had the likeness of bears, and some like the likeness of keepers, with tails behind them from between their shoulders, reaching down to the earth, like the tails of the duchipath. And these animals came and mounted and rode upon these asses, and led them away, and they went away unto this day. The book of Jasher 61 verse 15. A man named Zippo went after the creature, and finding him in a cave, saw that from the middle upward it resembled a man, and from the middle downward it resembled an animal. The book of Enoch chapter 7. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them, and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds, and beasts, and reptiles, and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones.
Stand tall, take all of everlasting, take all of ever changing. Through faith, we understand the worlds are framed by the word of God. So that thing which you see.
Thank you for tuning to Geraldine's Bible and Song Sharing with me, singer and songwriter Geraldine Png. This program is supported and sponsored by listeners like you. For information, www.geraldinepng.com. Now, until next time, remember, Jesus Christ is our Lord God, Creator and Savior.